Hello everyone, I'm Inbar, and honestly, I'm surprised it took me that long to do an Adventure Time episode here on The Point Is. Have any of you ever seen my blog? It's like 85% Adventure Time. But, well, my show is best for rants, and Adventure Time hasn't done anything really rant-worthy in a while, at least not a whole episode kind of rant. But when the show itself fails to deliver, you can always look to the fan base for something to get mad about. In the Season 6 opener, the two-parter wake up and escape from the Citadel. Finn discovers that his biological dad is alive and trapped in the cosmic prison known as the Citadel. And after he is freed, Finn learns another important lesson about his dad, Martin. He is an asshole who can't even remember why he abandoned Finn in the woods as a baby. Now, in my opinion, this whole two-parter, and especially that plot point, were great. But there's a trend among some of the fandom that I really despise: denial. For a while, right after the episode came out, you couldn't go on Tumblr for 5 seconds without seeing a theory about how Martin was totally not Finn's dad, or about how he was mind-wiped and mind-controlled into acting like an asshole, or he was secretly manipulating Finn into unlocking his full potential, or something. And even now, people are still drawing images of Martin reconciling with Finn or becoming a good parent in some other way. And, well, this trend just bothers me a lot, for many reasons, and yeah, this is gonna be the evil twin of the White Shell Can't Be Kevin Caroline's Kid episode. So let's go over the reasons why Martin is Finn's dad. Now, the second biggest argument people keep bringing up as to why Martin just can't be Finn's dad, I'm saving the biggest one for later, is that Finn, according to Goliad, has heroic genes, but Martin clearly doesn't. Okay, so we don't know exactly how heroic genes work, but it's pretty obvious it doesn't override your free will and prevent you from being an asshole. It clearly never stopped Finn. Just because you have the genes to be an incredibly fit person doesn't mean you can't get fat if you sit on your butt all day and eat junk food. And let's not forget the more important fact that Finn probably has a biological mother somewhere who could just as well be the source of Finn's heroic genes. She seemed pretty brave in Jack the Dog, standing up to her ice crazy son and stuff. And as for people saying that we have no proof that he's Finn's dad, where do I start? First of all, Jake said Martin looks like Finn, so in-universe, without the oversimplistic art style, they look similar enough in a way that's easy to recognize at first sight by Jack the Flipping Dog, not exactly the most observant person on Earth. That's one piece of evidence. Secondly, you all remember Farmworld, right? The alternative universe created when Finn wished the Lich never existed? Yeah, we saw Finn's dad there, and guess what he looked like? Yeah, seem familiar, huh? The only real difference is that Mainverse Martin is less skinny and doesn't have a lemon grab face. Other than that, he's the same person, because he's Finn's dad! I don't know what more do you need. Those are pretty big indicators. If you really don't want to take Billy's word for it for some reason. And all of the replacement headcanons for who could be Finn's dad don't make sense. People keep bringing up Simon or Mo, who are both over 1,000 years old and are not fucking capable of making a baby, especially not Mo, who had all of his body replaced with robotic body parts long before Finn was even born. Same goes to the Lich, who was a human mutated by the mushroom bomb 1,000 years ago, and I'm pretty sure he couldn't have killed as a giant mutated death skeleton. They are all way too old to father Finn, who is about 16 right now and was never implied to be in any sort of cryogenic chamber or anything like that before that. The most nonsensical candidate has got to be Prismo, who was A, never confirmed as human in any way, and B, seems to be way older than all of those guys, apparently just because of one throwaway line people think he's Finn's dad. And let's not forget the fact that all of those guys, save for the Lich, are not white, whereas Finn is. And while it's not 100% impossible for a man with dark hair and dark skin to have a blonde, blue-eyed, fair-skinned kid, it's pretty damn rare. Usually kids have a mix of traits from both parents. And even if Simon, Mo, or Prismo had sex with the palest woman ever, you would expect Finn to be a bit darker than he is, not to mention Mo and Prismo have some red noses that can't be really seen on Finn. And he could still be the son of some unseen random human. That kind of stuff isn't why the denial over Martin really bothers me that I decided to dedicate an episode for it. The reason is basically the same reason as the Portal one. Why? And the answer I seem to get to pretty much every post on the subject is that Martin can't possibly be Finn's dad because he doesn't care about him and he is an asshole and... I'm sure that makes sense, the magical land of fairy tales, But here in the real world, being someone's biological parent doesn't necessarily mean that you care for them. That is sadly a thing that happens in the real world. I mean, yeah, I live with my biological parents and I love them. But that's not because they conceived me 19 years ago, but because they're wasting tons of money on my Pokemon fix. And also because they love me and took care of me and helped me and got through life and all that junk. This attitude that the biological connection is what makes someone a parent, and apparently automatically a good parent, is really weird and shitty. And I can only imagine how infuriating this mindset is to adopted kids or someone raised with really horrible biological parents. The thing that makes a parent is actually caring and taking care of their kids, not just sharing 50% of their DNA with them. Come on, how many works of fiction, especially in the fantasy genre, had the main character find their long-lost biological parent, usually a dad, and discover that they're totally awesome and cool and loving and have way too much in common, and immediately start treating them as their real parents, no matter how loving and caring their adopted parents were? A lot of them. And Adventure Time has always been about subverting expectations and fantasy tropes. Pretty Pig Princess? Morally ambiguous mad scientists who constantly have to make tough decisions. Evil princess kidnapping wizard? Tragic backstory. Our brave hero? An innocent kid who grows up into a very confused teenager. And turning the missing, mysterious biological dad into a complete asshole is a perfect example of that kind of subversion. And like I said at the start, I'm really glad that Adventure Time chose this option. It's a lot more original, a lot more interesting, and sadly, sometimes, a lot more realistic. In spite of all the crystal space prisons and flower arms and monsters, I'm going to make a wild guess here and say that cases of adopted kids finding their biological parents and discovering that they gave them up because they don't give a shit is a lot more common than kids who find out that their own biological parents are magical light warriors who are captured by the big bad or whatever. And I can only think of one other work of fiction that went that route, Girl Genius. And I think AT actually did a much better job at this because Lucrezia is a pretty much standard take over the world villain, or at least appeared to be, rather than the much more realistic, uncaring jerk that is Martin. The point is that Martin can't be Finn's dad theories don't just annoy me like the Chelly's Kevin Caroline's kid theory. They worry me. They worry me as a media consumer that people look at incredibly original, if flawed shows like Adventure Time and say, gee, if only it followed more tired tropes and cliches, it would be so much better. And it bothers me as a human being that some people really, honestly, seem to think that parenthood is dependent on the biological connection over everything else.
Baby's building a tower into space. Space is where he's gonna find his dad. Daddy's got an arm, and baby's gonna harm his arm by turning off his dad.